What is up, guys? It's 4Clubs here. I'm back with another video. Recently I had someone ask me how I make my thumbnails, which I found was pretty interesting. And so that gave me an idea. Why not make a thumbnail tutorial? Quick disclaimer, I am by no means an expert in making thumbnails. This is just years of trial and error and experimentation with photo editing. So I use a software that is free and it can emulate a lot of the features on Photoshop, which is a really popular editing software. But I don't have Photoshop. So ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be teaching you how to use Microsoft Paint.
Got it!
Obviously, I'm kidding. There's no way I'm going to teach you how to use Microsoft Paint. I think a baby can teach themselves how to use Microsoft Paint. Today I'm actually going to be showing you how to use Pixlr. If you haven't heard of Pixlr before, it's actually a web-based editing software, which means that it doesn't matter if you're using Windows, Mac, or any other operating system, you can still use it. And it's also free, and it has many of the features that I see in Photoshop. So it's extremely useful for anyone who doesn't have Photoshop or doesn't have the money to have Photoshop, like me. So if you want to learn how to make a nice and easy thumbnail, keep watching. And if you don't want to learn how to make a thumbnail, or if you don't really care, keep watching anyways. Why not? So get ready to take some notes, because the lesson's about to begin.
Remember to subscribe and hit the bell.
Alright, so the tool I'm going to be showing you, you can find it on Google. You can just Google it. I'll post the link down below, but you basically just type in Pixlr, pixlr.com, and I'll take you to this website. Over here on the top you got Pixlr X and Pixlr E. Pixlr X is a simplified version, so you got simple controls. And if you want, you can go play around with this one, but today I'm actually going to show you this one, Pixlr E, because I think this one is more dynamic. You can do a lot more with it, so why not start with the full featured one? It's better if you're new to editing. I would probably use that one to start, just to get used to using basic controls. If you do have some experience, I would probably recommend this one, and you might as well get used to knowing all the full features that you can use. Plus, I'm not even going to use all of the features in there. I don't edit at that level. But anyways, so we're gonna click on Pixlr E, which is the advanced one, and we're going to create new. Here we're going to click create new. And here my history is cleared out, but if you have some projects from before, you could just open it and then make some edits, and then that'll be a nice quick thumbnail for you. But we're going to create a new one. Alternatively, if you have a picture, you can open image and then just choose a picture that you want to use. For YouTube thumbnails, generally the size they recommend is web 720p, but I like to use full HD just cause. So you can give it a title over here. I usually just save it for the end when I save it, and then we click create. And right off the bat, you're going to see this blank canvas kind of thing, and just a few main parts that you really need to worry about at the moment. The left side right here, so you'll notice a bunch of tools, which can be a little bit intimidating at first. I know it was a little bit for me, but once you start, you find there's a couple of features that you're gonna come to use more often than others. So I'll let you know which ones I use personally. So this one here, arrange, just lets you move stuff in your canvas. We call this canvas, or your work area. Another one that I like to use is this one right here, draw. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it lets you doodle and draw some stuff over your pictures. Right now I don't have any picture in my canvas, so I won't be able to do anything until I put a picture in there. Another one here is text. Text is extremely important because a lot of thumbnails rely on text to become effective. So if you're making a YouTube thumbnail, you're almost definitely going to need to use text. Some other features that I like to use here is this one, eraser, and I'll show you why later. This one, blur, sharpen, smudge, is also another one that I like to use to fine-tune and make detailed edits. It's not necessary for all users. I just like to use it. This one here, zoom, also important for fine-tune editing, or for detailed editing. So here you can zoom in, zoom out, very simple. I think for me that's about all the ones that I actively use to make YouTube thumbnails. Again, I make really simple thumbnails because I don't feel I need to go into that much detail in my photo edits for thumbnails. They're really small. Usually when people are browsing, they don't really pay attention to the details in your thumbnail. They just want to see the bigger picture. So this is why you can keep things more on the simple side for YouTube thumbnails. If you're editing photos for, you know, your Instagram or something like artistic, that's a different story, and maybe something we'll cover in a different video. But for this one, it's strictly for YouTube thumbnails, which doesn't require that much attention to little details, in my opinion. So we got nothing here, so we're just going to get right into making a thumbnail. So I'm going to show you how I make I'm going to make the thumbnail for this video, and you're going to see exactly how I do it. So on the right side here, we're going to start with our layers. You can think of it as just pieces of paper that you're going to stack on top of each other. And these pieces of paper, you can make it transparent, you can make it just opaque. So we're going to start off by adding a layer. To begin with, we click this plus sign right here to add a layer and select image. Choose whatever you want to use. I typically use this as my first layer as a background. So here we have it. We're going to use the zoom tool because it's kind of a little bit too zoomed in. So we're going to click the zoom tool. And if you can see here, there's a plus, there's a minus. We're going to use minus to zoom out and use plus to zoom in. Zoom out a little bit more. And right off the bat, I'm going to click here, this arrange tool, and you can see this outline. This is actually my whole picture, and only a part of it is fitting into my canvas. So what we're going to do is adjust the size of this until it can fit into the canvas. And that's why we zoomed out, so we can see exactly how it fits. So right there, we've got the top and bottom fitting. Now we got to deal with the left and right. So we're going to go back in, zoom in this time. And if we move it out this way, you'll see this side now is exposed. And if we move it back, this side will be exposed. So it's never going to fit into our canvas. So what we can do here, if you look up here in aspect, you can see fixed and free. So what we're going to do is click free, and what that allows us to do is adjust it freely. Fixed means that we're going to keep the exact same shape no matter how big or how small. So if I do this, it'll always be the same shape, the same aspect ratio. But if we do free, we can actually just do whatever we want. We can make it as tall as we want or as long as we want. But be careful when doing this, because you might end up distorting the picture. It'll look weird. But if I just use it just to adjust it a tiny little bit like this, no one's going to notice. So first thing I like to do usually is to add some text. We're going to click on this T symbol here, and on top, add text. And so right off the bat, you have your text here, and we're going to type in our caption. And you can see it's kind of blending in with the background. And so this is where you can get a little bit creative with what colors you use for your text. So just play around with different colors. I like to make sure it contrasts as much as possible. Up here, we can adjust the size. Over here, there's the size setting, so we're gonna drag this until we get a decent size. And then next to color here, we have fonts. So we're gonna choose a nice little font. They have a lot of fonts here too, and that's what I really like about this. It's a lot of really interesting fonts. It's not generic, Microsoft Word fonts. So they got a lot of really interesting things. For most of my YouTube thumbnails, I use this one. It's called Daddy Day. It's nice, bold, blocky kind of font. And I think it's easy to see, which is very important. Easy to see, easy to read. You don't want it to be so fancy that, you can't read it. So you want to make sure it's legible. So I should have done this actually after I've chosen the font. So I would say choose your font first and then adjust the font size, because every font has a different size. So we're going to readjust here. I want to make sure it fits in one line. That's kind of, I try to do that as much as possible and make sure it just fits as a one-liner. So let's do it right here. I usually keep it on the bottom, but I think this time I'll put it on the top. So no PS, no problem. I still find it kind of blends in with some of the background. So what I'm gonna do is change the color. Let's do red. On the top here you have settings. So you can change the line space and letter space. I don't really mess around with that too much unless I need to, but here's where I really actually use this one. Outline. Under styles, you can find outline, and I find this one is so useful. So as you can see, it gives my letters a nice little outline, and that gives us two colors to work with. So it really pops out. Red and I'd say this time we're going to use red and yellow. You want to make sure it doesn't clash with your background colors too much or else it'll blend in. So let's try red and yellow. Red and yellow. So that really pops out in my opinion, but I don't really notice the yellow. So let's try orange. Let's try red and orange. Okay, so we're gonna keep it like that. Maybe we'll change it later on. We'll see how it goes. So for now we got this. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the text so far. So we're gonna leave it at that for now. We're gonna work on the picture. So there's a slight edit that I want to make on the photo itself. So we're gonna head over to here, draw, and at the top here you can see a couple of options. You got brush, opacity, and hard tip. Hard tip. So let me explain hard tip. When you draw something, you'll notice, or I don't know if you can see, maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. So brush, you can adjust the size, as you can see. Let's make it a little bit big. And as you can see here, you kind of have this kind of soft edge to it. Whereas if I turn on the hard tip, you'll notice it's much more solid. So the edges are a lot more solid. I don't know if you can notice, but if you play around with it, you'll definitely notice. In this case, I'm not going to use the hard tip. I'm going to use the soft tip. And what I'm going to do is draw a circle. So I like to use this when I'm trying to highlight something in my photo. We're going to use a slightly smaller one, 40s, in the 40s, okay? And I like to use red because it draws attention. So we're going to circle this. It's not a perfect circle, but I don't think it really matters for me because I like that hand-drawn kind of feel to it. And then also I want to add an arrow. Oh, and opacity just adjusts how clear it is, how transparent it'll look. So if I do this, you can see it's kind of not so solid color. And I usually keep this on 100. You know, you can adjust it as you wish. So here's my arrow. I'm going to point to this and draw some attention to that circle. And that's pretty much it for, drawing. Next, I want to add a photo of myself. I think it adds just a personal touch to your thumbnail. So we're going to click on plus here and add another image. And this is the photo that we're going to use. All right, so nice and wholesome. So we're going to manipulate this one as well. First, I'm going to drag this into the corner. I kind of want it on the top right position here. All right. And then what you'll notice right off the bat, if we look back at the layers, we can go back to the layers here. So you'll see that it's kind of it's covering all of my other things. It's just right out in the front. So this is where you can adjust the layers. So I want to, if I click on this arrow down here, it'll move it down one layer. So if you think of it like a sandwich, you got your bread on top and then your middle, meat, lettuce, vegetables and stuff. So you can adjust your pictures in the layers according to how you want to position them. So I moved it down one layer, so now I have the text right in front of the picture, which is perfect. That's where I want it, but it's still covering my background. If I move this down another layer, it's gone. It's completely covered by my background, which I don't want. So let's move it back up one, and then we'll keep it here and we'll work with this. Going back to this side when I showed you the eraser, this is where the eraser comes in handy. So the eraser has the same adjustment settings as drawing. So you got your brush. I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger because I can work a little bit faster. I'm clearing out big areas here. And the hard tip and soft tip for this, I want it to look a little bit more comforting to the eye, so I'm not going to use the hard tip. We're just going to softly erase this. Just get rid of the areas that I'm not going to want. So I'm going to take off most of the picture here, leave a little bit of space. As you can see, we got a lot of area cleared out, which is perfect. I'm going to leave a little bit of the face right there floating in the corner. And you can always undo it if you're not happy. I think I'm happy with this. If you have a picture that blends in nicely into the background, you can also use what I showed you earlier with the smudge, sharpen, and blur. In this case, I'm not going to use this, so I won't be able to show you, but if you do have any questions about that, you can let me know. But for now, this is all I'm going to do with the picture. And as I'm editing this, what I notice is actually there's a lot of empty space on the bottom here. So I had an idea where I take the no problem. I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut it out, no PS, I'm going to add a question mark, and we're going to throw it on the bottom. So here we can click on text, click on some empty space, add text. We can paste our no problem here and drag it into our spot. So that fills up the space a lot better than than before. And another problem that I also just noticed as I'm editing this is the clashing of the red. So I have red here as my text color, more red here. I think it's too much red, so we're going to change the color up. And like I said, don't be afraid to experiment. For this, I'm going to use like a golden yellow. So we can change this to a nice golden yellow. And what I'm going to do is, if you see here, there's a hex. So this gets you the exact color. This is the color code. So if you want 100% consistency, you can go in here and paste the exact same text code or hex code. There we go. Exact same color. And for the borders or the outline, I'm going to change it to black. And what I forgot to mention earlier here, you can adjust the size of the outline. So if I move this up here, let's make it real thick. Now you can see it's really obvious. Whereas if I move it down here, it doesn't come out as much. So I'm going to adjust it to right here. I think right here is fine. No PS. Now you can see it really, it stands out and pops out a lot more than it did before. So we're going to do the same thing here. No problem. Outline on. Color, we're going to make it black. And adjust the size to number 6. You can play around with background, shadow, other settings like that. I've tried it out and it didn't work out for me, so that's why I'm not using it. There you go, no PS, no problem. I'm really happy with the color. I'm not sure if it's the best color, but you can try different things. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I'm going to put this out as is, and I'm not going to worry too much about it. If it doesn't do well, then so be it. If it does well, great. Then I'll know yellow is a good color to use next time. We got one more thing I want to add. So we're going to head over to this layer section here, add another image. And I'd like to add this right here, which is the Photoshop logo. I'm going to add the Photoshop logo and cover the letters PS, so people know exactly what I mean if they've seen this logo when I say PS. So you can see the PS is a little bit too big. It's covering my question mark, so we can always go back into the text and adjust the letter spacing. So if I click on the text here, so you want to make sure you got the right text. So here is no PS. Then we click on text again. You can go to settings on top here, and you can mess around with the letter space. So we can move this here, space it out a little bit, just check it out. Perfect. That's perfect spacing. So I'm pretty satisfied with this. I think this is going to be our final product. And then the last thing to do is go to the top left here and click File. When you click File, you want to go to Save. Give your thumbnail a name if you want, or just leave it untitled. I usually pick JPG, and then quality, I set it to high. You want a high quality thumbnail. and I leave it at 90. You know what that means. I'm just too lazy to adjust it, and click download. And once you've done that, it'll download to your computer, and then you've got your custom thumbnail. And then when you go back into your upload section, you can click upload thumbnail and find your thumbnail, find this, and change your thumbnail. So I hope this was helpful overall. I mean, there's a lot more that obviously you can do, but these are the basic kind of principles that I apply to make my thumbnails. So if you have any other questions, let me know down in the comments. I might be able to answer you. If not, I'll do another tutorial. So if you made it all the way to the end of the video right here, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.